Morning, everybody. My name's Simon Willmore. I'm from Bradt Guides, bradguides.com, and I'm here today with Susannah Cery from Our Tribe Travels. Good morning, Susannah.
Good morning.
Okay, Susannah, we're talking today about Kidding Around, which is the new book published by Bradt Guides, Our Tribe Travels, and Brit. Perhaps you could tell me a little bit about the book.
Yeah, so Kidding Around is 35 true life tales from families about their travel adventures. And I think what I love about it is it shows that family travel doesn't always run smoothly, but you have an experience and a tale to tell, which you'll probably tell for many years to come.
Definitely. I think that's exactly what the book is. It's kind of celebrating. Maybe some memories are going to be wonderful and perfect. Some are going to be a little bit less perfect, but that's always part of the fun. On the note of bringing a more fun or adventurous element into travel, particularly for people with young children, for young families, perhaps you could share with us a couple of tips about how to get the most out of an adventurous way of life.
Yeah, I think firstly it's deciding what is important to your family, whether you want to have one adventurous holiday which is more organized for you, because there are companies now that do offer a sort of more adventurous package style holiday, or whether you're more like me, where for me I'm very budget conscious but I want to travel more. So whether you want to have 3 trips, but it's things that you organize yourself and do in conjunction with advice from other parents. I think if you want to experience more of a budget style travel, then maybe just dabble your feet in it first. A few camping trips are always advisable, or maybe just start walking and going out in the woods and going on treks with your kids just to get them used to it. What you don't want to do is go off on a trekking holiday or a holiday that has lots of outdoor activities and your kids just don't adapt or just aren't happy doing it. So make your life easier by a little bit of preparation. This is probably going to sound like a contradiction, but plan well, but not too well. And by that, I mean, have an understanding of where you want to go, the locations you want to travel between, and a few of the things that you want to do, but don't be too rigid. I think when you're traveling as a family, you have to have that flexibility. Sometimes a child will get ill and you might need to slow down and spend an extra night somewhere, or you just love a place. And rather than being in that sort of strict routine of we must move today and we've got to go to this place and then to place A, B, C, chill out, slow down, have some free days. If you love somewhere, you can stay longer. Or someone might recommend something that you hadn't thought of to visit in between locations. So I always try to have that flexibility, and I think it's quite a good way of approaching a trip as a family.
You know, a lot of people like kind of rigid plans, but as you said, you lose part of the fun if you don't let yourself be taken away by it. So what would you kind of recommend? Would it be a case of maybe book the first couple of nights and the last couple of nights and see what happens in between?
And unless you're traveling somewhere in their peak season, when obviously you need to make sure you do have accommodation. But if you're off peak, I've never had a problem finding something. So yeah, a couple of days at the beginning, the end, and maybe in the middle, and then keep the rest fluid. I think on a longer term trip, again, if you're sort of traveling for 6 months, that's quite a nice way of doing it. Have a few anchor points, maybe where you've got a few flights that you need to be there for. But other than that, try and keep that fluidity, because you can often find great deals actually on the spot as well in terms of accommodation. If you turn up, you can often look at the room and then negotiate on the price, so that can often lower the cost of the trip as well.
Definitely. I think flexibility is always important in these kind of things. And maybe it's going to, ultimately, it might seem scary at the start, but it might make things easier for you in the long run.
Yeah.
To have less of a fixed plan.
And I think the final thing that I would recommend for families who want to do an adventurous trip is really enjoy the adventure. I think often we can go through life and have family holidays where sometimes the kids are doing something, the adults are doing something. And what I love about adventurous travel is you tend to do all the activities together. So you have that time to slow down, spend time with your kids, and create memories that you'll have forever.
Maybe you could give me a couple of destinations that have actually been easier than you thought might be when it comes to family travel, family adventure travel.
Yeah, one of the places which really surprised me, and it was an area I'd wanted to explore for a while, and that was Nepal, and go trekking in Nepal. And it was only a conversation with a friend who said, actually, your son's the right age to go there, because he was 3.5 at the time. And I was thinking, really? He doesn't walk that far. How am I going to do this? And actually, when the great thing about trekking in Nepal when your children are younger, is that you can hire, it's called a doko, it's a basket, with a Sherpa who will carry your child on the trek. I mean, they can get out and walk when they want to, but in between times, they have the comfort of sitting in a basket. And actually what they do is they literally buy a basket, cut out some leg holes. Our team leader puts some padding in the bottom to make it comfortable. And then the guy, they put some string around the circumference of the basket, and he carried it sort of with a padded headband around his head and balanced on his back. So it was really comfortable for Alf. And we trekked up to 10,000 feet over, well, it was a 5-day trip in total. So the third day we actually got to the summit of Poon Hill in Nepal. It was -7 at night, but you had these big thick blankets that you could take into your rooms when you're staying in the tea houses. And I mean, it was just a lot easier than I thought. And since we did that trip, a lot of families in the Our Tribe Travels group have been there as well and had similar experiences, and actually shared recommendations of the guides that they use. So people have been using the same teams again and again.
Amazing. Okay, fantastic. So it sounds like you've had a really amazing experience in Nepal, but I'm sure a lot of people will be wondering, how do you stay safe? How do you look after your health in a place like that?
I think the really important thing is to ensure that you have a guide that you trust, who has medical training, particularly for children. I think sometimes it's hard to spot the signs of altitude sickness, particularly with younger kids. So that is something I would highly recommend.
Okay, thanks very much for your time today, Susannah. Thanks for talking.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. So Kidding Around is now available at bradguides.com. That's BRADT guides.com. Thanks, Susannah.
No worries. Have a lovely day.
Cheers.